This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Salam and welcome back to the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Hope you're having a blessed day wherever you're tuned in around the world, whether it's 95 FM, pulse95radio.com, our app, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority, or even if you're chilling at home, watching us on YouTube, live streaming on Pulse 95 Radio. Hope you're having a blessed day, and I'm so glad you're spending Saturday with me, because I do have a treat for you today. I've got a guest who specializes in mental health. You know, with people that don't know this, so I actually came across Yaz through her platform, the things that she's doing. She does some great things with the community, and I actually subscribed to her 7-day program that she was given, completely complimentary, to help people. And she had no idea who I was or anything. And I did the 7 days, and I absolutely loved the content. And I thought, you know what, I can't wait till we get back to normal, studio where you can invite guests and have people over. And that was the first thing I did, because I noticed how she tackles certain things when it comes down to the mental health, through psychology, through dealing with things such as fear, and understanding the psychology of fear. So we're going to be talking about that today. Mind hacks. That's another thing. Everyone loves a hack. So here, I'm going to try and get her on the show to talk about hacks, and also how do we befriend fear? Because often we associate fear with, an enemy, something that we push away, How do we befriend fear? So I'm going to have her on the show very, very soon, talking about that on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I am your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Hope you're having a blessed day wherever you're tuned in around the world. You know what I like about the show? It's live. And so when things happen behind the scenes, you can see that, that's the rawness of it. And if you're tuned in on the Instagram live at Omar Adori or Pulse 95 Radio on YouTube, you will know that we put things together here. We patch things together. And I'm sure you're tuned in to see the wonderful Yasmen Ahmed, who is going to be here shortly. Don't worry about that. We're going to get her in. And hey, listen, if you are watching on the YouTube live, Gabby and Maria are responsible for that. Mustafa's asking me, are we getting any cookies today? No, we're not, because Umniya Saleh's not here. Shout out to Umniya Saleh. Fahad's here, Arij is here. Let's give some shout outs actually to everyone who is locked in now here. We got Sarah, we got Yasmin, we got Jose, Ashraf Abdul Hadi, we've got Yasmin from Wales. That's my first viewer from Wales. Layla, Aisha, Mustafa, Terry, Gabby, Ashraf, I said, Isa, Murad, Zain, Ayman, Haya, and who else have I missed out? Sudais, thank you so much for tuning in. Now, I'll tell you what's on the show today. So I brought on a mental health expert. As you know, the Halftime Show, we like to talk about a lot of things behind the scenes that happens, and also on a mental front, because physical is often highlighted quite a bit. But on this show, we try and spin off a little bit, and we try and go into the aspect of mental fitness, emotional fitness, the mindset. Now, the guest I'm bringing on today is someone that I've followed for a while, actually, and I really like her perspective on things. One of the things we often associate, anxiety and fear and depression is with mental health. Now, what I'm going to do with Yaz in a bit is I'm going to have her come on the show and discuss, how do we embrace that? How do we allow that to be part of the process? How do we befriend fear? And, when it comes down to mental fitness and mental health, is there a difference between those two? So how we use fear to actually help us get through, the unprecedented times that we've been through, our work, our training, our family, our relationships, everything comes through that kind of aspect. So I'm going to get her on the show and we're going to talk about that a bit. So if you have any questions for her, by the way, shoot them my way on Instagram Live or 4215 Ittasalat Urdu, or slide into my DMs at Omar Dur on Instagram, and I'll have them answered for you, because I think this is a topic not just for men but for women as well that we don't talk about enough, and that's why the Halftime Show is the only place to be at 3. So make sure you shoot those questions my way. I promise you I'll get through them, and I think Yaz is going to be here any second now, and we're going to go through it right after this. But in the meantime, let me drop some tunes for you and let you enjoy it. Here we go.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international, local. Could catch my breath now, Yaz. For those who are wondering, Omar, why are you out of breath, man? Like, you must be unfit. I'll tell you why I'm out of breath. I went to go get my guest, who's here now, Yasmen Ahmed. I gave you a little intro on her earlier. A specialist in mental health psychology, NLP. She's brilliant, man. I've followed her for a while. And we had to go get her. And if you're tuned in on Instagram Live, you would have seen me running through the corridors, looking for her. And then I get to the bottom and I see the security, Faisal. Shout out to Faisal. And then he goes, boss. And I said, what's up? She's in the bathroom. I was like, of all times you need to go bathroom, yes. Yes, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone who waited.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry for the bit of the detour. I got a bit of a different location.
That's all right.
I actually thought it was part of the show.
Right.
Guy came down and was like, so there is no Omar here, and I was like, okay, is this like a prank? Is this like...
That would have been brilliant.
Yeah, literally, but I'm happy to be here.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming on the Halftime Show. Now, Yaz, you might not know this. I actually followed you before we met, and I subscribed to your newsletter, and I did the 7 days, and then I messaged you after that, and you had no idea who I was or anything or what I do, and then I went through that process with you for 7 days, and I was really impressed. I love the technique. I love the style of what you do. It's very important. We talk about it on here on the Halftime Show a lot about mental health, and that's why I brought you on. So I wanted to thank you. That wasn't a prank. That was real. And one of the things that we often affiliate or associate with mental health is fear. Why? Like, how do we embrace fear?
Okay.
So I'll get you straight into it.
Right into the good, right? So with fear, it's completely normal. It's a lot of us put such a bad image when it comes to fear. We think fear is like this evil monster that's gonna like ruin our lives. But with fear, it's a survival instinct. It's something that's hardwired into us from a young age, and it's actually what's kept us alive for so long. The evolution, and that's why we've survived. And it's the fear, it's the survival instinct that kicks in. But with fear, it's an emotional state just like any other. Yet we put a lot of emphasis on it. So the way to move forward is, one of the first things is actually to realize you've got the control. Even though fear comes in, it might be like an unconscious response. The person has the control when it comes to fear. You can move past it, and then there's 3 ways to move past it, which is like fantastic. How? So first one is to focus on your physiology.
Okay.
So this is called the emotional triad in NLP, in neuro-linguistic programming. It's called emotional triad. So the first one is the physiology. So when you're scared or when you're like fearful, how do you think your body is? You've got like slouched shoulders, you've got like closed body language, you're not feeling, you've got like no eye contact, you've got a low voice, you've got shallow breathing. There's a physiology unconsciously to fear. Yeah. So when we begin to bring that awareness, like, okay, then I'm going to start changing that now, because every emotion is created by motion. Right. So when we move our body in a specific way, like, for example, we're going to visualize our best version of ourselves, you know? Standing on our confidence and our personal power. How will you stand then? You'll stand with your back straight, more expansive body language. Yeah. So when you begin to incorporate, even if you're not feeling it at that time, incorporate more body language that mirrors that sense of confidence, or you stepping into that fear.
Right. So the first part would be the physical aspect, where
the physiology.
Even when you're facing those signs of fear, to be able to retract your shoulders, to be able to not appear scared. Yeah. Right. And then after that?
So the next is your focus.
Right, okay.
So where are you focusing? So we have these representations in our mind when it comes to like visual representation. So when we think of like something that scares us, we think of the worst case scenario straight away, and then we create this image in our mind, and we feed it a lot of energy, a lot of attention. Yeah. And that's what we focus on. We never think about anything else. We focus on the worst case scenario, what if this goes wrong, I'm a failure, all of that. So bring awareness to what the visual representation that you're doing, what are you feeding, because what you're feeding is dominating how you feel. Yeah. So then you can start to focus on, okay, how about what's the best case scenario right now? You know, what value am I going to provide?
What's your
instead?
takeaway?
Yeah, exactly. And like, what's your takeaway? What's the value? You know, think back to a time where you actually conquered something and you felt really good about yourself.
Interesting.
So it's focusing and giving that attention, giving that the energy.
Yeah.
So you're creating this different visual in your mind with, okay, best case scenario, if this happens. So you're using evidence to remind your mind that you've done something like this before.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we've all conquered fear before.
Yeah, so the power of visualization would be something that would help you connect the dots for fear when you're facing it. But you know, so much happens in that time. Does that require practice? Is that through breathing? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, so it's, in order to change our default state, which is fear, it's consistency. It's not going to happen straight away. Like, oh, I'm fearless now. Like that doesn't happen. Fear doesn't go away. But with bringing awareness to your body first, bringing awareness to what image you're feeding, and then what language are you using? How are you speaking about yourself during this whole situation?
Right.
So it's like, I'm a failure. I'm always wrong. Bring awareness, because the words that you use carry energy as well. So even if you say a specific word, already your body feels differently.
It responds to your words.
Very. And there's actually been so much studies in that. I don't know if you've heard about this one called by Dr. Emoto. It's a Japanese scientist.
Yeah.
You're nodding, so yes.
Yeah.
So that one's like, that's just one example of the power of words on us, on our body in general.
Right.
So when we bring awareness to all of these things, we're like, okay, we're creating a pause. So it's like, okay, I'm stressed, there's a stimuli. Then we have a pause between the response.
Yeah.
Like how can I respond to this in the best way?
Right.
You know, like what's my higher self can respond. I always think of this like, what's my higher self going to, how can she be able to then navigate this situation? Not me right now, my higher self. So
right. I love it.
Gives you that pause.
Right. Okay. You know what? I told you I'm going to spoil you guys. Coming up after this, we're going to talk about 3 ways to move past fear, including mind hacks. So you don't want to miss this. I'm telling you now. Stay tuned on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Wow, we are back. Welcome back to the Halftime Show. I think now we've got our tracks back, and I think we're on point, we're on form. I got to give a couple of shout outs because I don't normally get people listening from Liverpool or from Wales or from, who's the other one?
Yeah, she lives here.
And she lives here as well. Okay, so I've got Hind, let me try and get this right.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yeah.
And Yasmina.
Yeah.
Right. So special shout out to all of you, and thank you for connecting today with us. It's great to have you here. The energy's on point in the studio, and I have this wonderful person right here. If you're watching on the Instagram Live or YouTube, Yasmen Ahmed is here on the show, and we are talking about mental health. We're talking about embracing fear and how to tackle that. Now, one of the things I want to dive into now is, you said you had 3 ways to move past fear, including mind hacks. Now, whenever I hear the words mind hacks, straight away I'm tuned. I want to know what they are. So tell me more about that, Yes.
Right. So yeah, I know mind hacks is very powerful. It's such a powerful thing to say, because it's like you're tricking your mind into doing something that's like good for you.
Right.
So so with the 3 things, we're going back to what we spoke about previously, focusing on these 3 things. So focusing on your physiology, focusing on your focus, but diving a bit deeper into that, because we create visual representations in our mind, and they're called submodalities. So when we're thinking about something that's going to happen or something that scares us, we give it a lot of power. We give it colour. Specifically, we give it size and we give it colour.
Can you say colour again?
Colour.
Wait, just tell the people about the accent. Yes, because we spoke about this during the break. Where's the accent from?
So it's a bit of a cocktail. So I was born in Egypt, moved to Liverpool when I was 5 months old, 5 months baby. So then lived in Liverpool my whole life, moved to Manchester for university, and then moved to LA about 5 years ago, and then just moved to Dubai 2 weeks ago.
So that is a proper mix. All right, now we can go back to the colour. Go on, tell me.
Yeah, so the colour. So when we give something that scares us, or something a specific colour, we think of like black and white,
right?
You know, because it's something that's kind of trained within us when we're younger. That color black and white is like dark and like the gloomy.
Yeah.
So when we think of worst case scenarios, often we think of it being in this grey type of like vision.
Yeah.
But when we start to bring some colour into it, and okay, how about the best case scenario if this happens, and then if you literally visualize like a whole colourful scene, and then create it, make it even bigger, make it even bigger, so then it overtakes all the other small, like, for example, so say you have the worst case scenario, which is black and white. Then we have the best case scenario, which is colourful, like the vision in your mind. So if you begin to feed and focus the massive visual of like best case scenario, that's slowly going to overtake that black and white worst case scenario type of visual.
Right.
So if you actually see that like getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and seeing your worst case scenario of when you're scared of doing something sliding out of the picture. So it's kind of like a cinema screen, as if you're imagining that.
Yeah.
It's quite strange, but when you start to like think about something that scares you, that alone is super powerful, because in your mind's already like wiping away the worst case scenario and replacing it with this super powerful, super bright type of vision, which is like best case scenario when you do want to embrace fear and you do want to move forward.
There's a common pattern here with when you're speaking. Visualization.
Yeah.
This is the second time now I've kind of clocked onto what you're saying, and I've thought there's a huge power of visualization with the current, let's say, the current norm. Is there a challenge to focus on things like visualization?
Yeah, no, of course there is.
How can people get better at that?
With consistency. So with starting small, because right now with everything that's going on, obviously it's quite difficult, and there's a lot of change. With literally what's happened now has been like a crash course on change. Yeah. All of a sudden there's been change of routine, there's change of plans, change of everything. Yeah. So it's really important for us to then focus on, okay, this has happened, this has changed, but when we think back in the future, this might have happened for a reason. So it's even like the hardship, even the things that we've gone through that's very difficult, even globally right now. Yeah. When we look back, we're like, okay, it might not make sense now. Right. But if I keep going, then the bigger picture, it'll make sense in the end. Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's like there's a quote that's like, you can move. Life goes on forward, but you can only be understood backwards.
I like that. Say that again.
So life can only be moved forward. Yeah. But it can only be understood backwards. Really nice. So when you think back. So I know it's difficult to visualize. It's not all positivity. It's not all like happy days. Things are difficult and things can get really difficult. But when we focus on right now, what can I do, and what's in my hands, which is your mindset, which is your mental health, which is things like that. Yeah. Giving that power will slowly empower you as well and make you feel like, okay, I've got some sort of control. Right. And can I ask you a question? Why do people try to avoid fear and change? Because it's out of their comfort zone. Why do people naturally, instinctively do that? Yeah, well, it's because it's a threat. So the body sees it as a threat. It's like, that's why we hate leaving the comfort zone. Because in the comfort zone, we're fine, we're alive. Even if you're unhappy, you're alive. And that's that is literally the role of the body, is to keep you alive. So when we leave that comfort zone and want to embrace change or something, your body like literally signals and it's like, no, like that is a threat, that's an unfamiliar territory. Yeah. So why are you doing that? So because we have no answer. Right. It's kind of like in this sort of a mist of like nothingness. Yeah. And the body and the mind and the body like an answer. They like to kind of know where we're going. Yeah. So we avoid it for that reason. But a good hack when it comes to mindset hacks, when it comes to our job, is just avoid it. And I'm like on it with quotes, but there's actually a quote that says like, when it comes to discomfort, we either manage discomfort in the beginning or we manage discomfort of putting it off. Right, okay. So it's like long term. So we've got people quoting on these already and loving the quotes here on Instagram Live. Fahad and Fit Nutrition have also said that. And they've also repeated it as well. Yasmin has come up with that, said what a quote. Yeah. We're going to get more of those quotes straight after a break. Here's some Powers by Closer.
and we'll get back to you with Yaz straight after this. Enjoy.
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Salam, welcome back to the halftime show with Omar Adori. If you're wondering who was coughing or chuckling in the background, it definitely wasn't me, unless my voice got a lot softer over the break, especially with all that running. All right, so a couple of shout outs we got to do, and I'm doing this because I really like the reaction people give when you give shout outs. It's such a simple thing, but such a nice thing. We've got Taz, the best friend. We've got Lana. We've got Aisha, the soul sister. We've got, I like to say the king and queen, which is, I don't even want to say Aman. I want to say Miss Aman and Mr. Adil, mom and dad. We've got Hind, Fitra Nutrition, who's been there, and she's married to Tariq. Shout out to Tariq as well. We've got Yasmina. Have I missed anyone?
Sarah, my younger sister.
Of course, Sarah. I wouldn't forget you.
She was amazing.
Man. I wouldn't forget you, Sarah. We've got Sarah as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I really appreciate that. And thank you, Yaz, for being here. Yaz, we've had some questions in the break.
Yep.
Okay. First question is from Arij, the UAE national team footballer, and she says, how do we switch on focus on game days? Apart from hard work, what would you recommend?
Okay, fantastic question. When it comes to focus, it's really thinking exactly where you're going with this. So your end goal. So when it comes to your game, where do you want to be? And not just this one specific game that you have, but in the long term, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? So it's having that goal set. It's okay, this is a stepping stone. So it's not just about the game, it's about her as a person.
Yeah.
How does she want to show up as part of the team? So it's not just about the game. We've got a lot of focus on just one event, but it's more about how do you want to show up as a person, and then focus on your sort of goals when it comes to 5 or 10 year goals.
Right.
This is where I want to be. So it's not just hard work, but it's mindset. It's okay, I need to be this person to achieve these type of goals.
Yeah. So it's almost like mapping it out.
Yeah, it's zooming out and then seeing overall where you want to be.
The bigger picture.
The bigger picture and what steps you can take now. Which is, you're the best person to say that, because she knows what steps to take.
Yeah.
And not just when it comes to game, not just mindset, but also food.
Right.
How is she, and her social life, who's she hanging out with? Are they supporting her? It's a whole holistic type of approach.
Love that word.
It's not just focus or hard work. It's also who am I hanging out with? What's the energy I'm constantly surrounded by?
Right.
So it's these type of things that all feed into her end goal, which is way bigger than just that one game.
Yeah.
It's her actual game in the end, the game of life in the end. If you want to say.
It comes down to preparation. It comes down to who she surrounds herself with. Yeah. It comes down to putting the right things in place to be able to execute the end plan, as you said. I really like that. Okay, next question is from Terry, and that is, any practical tips on dealing with fear? Are there practices we can do daily to get through mental blocks? Really like that question.
Yeah, mental blocks. This is a very powerful word alone. And I feel like that word, a lot of us it's been used a lot more now, mental blocks. Yeah. But I just want to say something when it comes to that word specifically. When we say, I have a mental block, we've sort of given the block power. So when we say mental block, you're literally giving it power. I have a block, so it's not that you're not responsible for it, but you've kind of attached it outside of you. So it's not me, it's the block.
Right. But is that conceding to the block?
Yeah, I think it's giving it more power.
Right.
Where in the end, it's actually just you. It's okay. I get it that you've got you're stuck. You're feeling there's that sense of fear.
Yeah.
But it's not like a block, because a block it gives that kind of heavy.
I noticed when I said the word, your face just changed.
Yeah, I'm son, don't say block.
Yeah. How dare you say block on the halftime show? No.
It's a really powerful word.
But I like the way you responded to it, in terms of just, for those that were watching, your facial expressions, you paused, you took a second, and then you went for it, and you kind of detached it from the vocabulary that we should be using, because a lot of people do kind of, like you said, kind of concede to it that it is something that happens.
Yeah.
Love that. Really, really good. And Terry loved that as well. She says, change the language. A big heart. Good. Very nice. The question I have for you is,
Yeah, go on.
I'm not going to use the B
Forward
word.
first.
I'm not going to use the B word.
Okay.
What's the difference between mental fitness and mental health?
Mental fitness and mental health. That's a really good question.
Thank you.
You're like, obviously, I thought of it.
Yeah.
You know what? When I think of the difference between mental health and mental fitness,
Mm-hmm.
I think of mental fitness, it's something that you do every single day,
Yeah.
consistently. It's like a muscle that you're training,
Right.
which is not just physical muscles. It's actually your mind muscle, how you view the world, your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So mental fitness is actually, I've got like a light bulb moment, but we should be calling it mental fitness and not just mental health. Mental health is like what it is in general, or mental health. And to be honest, I don't even like the word mental health. I prefer the word like emotional health,
Okay.
because I feel like mental health can also, it's a label that we give.
It's got a negative connotation to
it's
it.
like, the stigma towards mental
Yes.
health, which is true. There is a stigma towards mental health.
Yeah.
But when we think, but then some people then say, oh, I can't be then feeling this way because I don't have a mental disorder or I don't
Yeah.
have a mental illness.
Yeah.
But it's actually
I
like
hate that word.
mental disorder
Yeah.
as well. It's very,
is-
because then you're labeling yourself with
It's
that.
heavy.
It's a very heavy. It's just like blocks.
Yeah.
Just saying it alone, you're like this.
Yeah.
Your body
Yeah,
language
absolutely.
goes down.
Absolutely.
So it's mental fitness gives it that more empowering sense. It's the work that's associated with so mental health or emotional health is like the umbrella, but then mental fitness is how you can maintain your mental health or your emotional health. So it's sort of acts that you take every single day to make you emotionally and holistically balanced as a person.
Brilliant.
So that would be my answer.
Brilliant. Love the answer. And I love that because I asked the question. You know what? She didn't dodge it. She answered it well. I really, really like that. We have reached full time on the halftime show. There's the full-time whistle. But before we go, can I please ask you guys, where can these people follow you? Do you use social media? Do you have a website? Give us your best shot. Let's go.
Yeah, so I have a platform on Instagram, so it's Inspire with Yaz. Everything's Inspire with Yaz. So my
And Yaz is with an S or a Z?
with S. So it's Inspire with Yaz, so YAS. It's on. So I've got a Facebook page, I've got an Instagram page, and a website as well. But I'm mainly more active on my Instagram, where I've make sure that I post daily resource and inspiration, and just reaching as many people to help them just rekindle their light within. Everyone has
that.
a light inside them and just gets dimmer with with life.
Yeah.
So it's just it's a place to feel safe and to feel inspired.
Yeah, I might have to get you back on the show, you know. I'm telling you now, I'm going to have to get you back on the show. Hopefully we'll get a lot more in because the feedback's been amazing. It's been great to have you down. I'm so happy, we made it happen. And there's so much more I want to ask you. Remember, guys, you can catch us every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 3 to 4 on Pulse 95 Radio. Yaz has been amazing. Please let us know how you feel about the show. If you have missed the show, you can catch the podcast on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Anghami. Or if you prefer a visual, you can head over to the Pulse 95 Radio YouTube channel, and our shows are uploaded there. Yaz, thank you so much for being part of it.
Thank you so much. Honestly, it's such an honour. It was so fun.
I appreciate it.
Disregarding the abrupt start.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We got there in the end.
Yeah,
guys, have a
exactly.
great day.
The heart of Sharjah.